Did you ever feel trapped in a storm of problems, unsure of which way is up? That was Sam's world. Every single day, until everything changed. Imagine agonizing over late bills, a strained relationship with a sibling, and the constant gnawing anxiety of what your boss thinks of you. Sam was drowning in these worries, consumed by problems big and small. But then one day he stumbled upon a simple truth that turned his world around. Sam had a list so extensive it was notorious among his friends. On this list were all the problems Sam believed he had, hundreds of them. To Sam, everything was a problem, from the political climate to the flickering streetlight outside his window. His life, in his eyes, was an ongoing disaster. He felt like he was constantly on the edge of falling apart. His career as an environmental consultant meant that Sam spent his days assessing issues and suggesting solutions. Ironically, his personal life mirrored this, except without the solutions part. At work he was brilliant, but at home he was drowning in a sea of stress, kept awake by thoughts of what could go wrong next. He carried his list everywhere, adding to it constantly. It was his crutch and his curse. One cold winter day, after missing his train because he was too preoccupied reviewing his ever-growing list, he found himself waiting on the platform, cursing his luck. Beside him stood an elderly woman, her face calm and peaceful despite the freezing wind. Seeing his frustration, she asked, "Young man, why are you so troubled?" "I have hundreds of problems," Sam replied. "My life is a disaster." The woman chuckled softly and gently suggested, "Life is full of problems, but we get to decide which ones are worth our energy. We can't control everything." Something in her words, or perhaps her presence, struck a chord with Sam. For the first time, he considered a radical idea. What if he could choose which problems to worry about? Inspired and curious, he asked the woman to explain more. She told Sam her own story of how she was once consumed by worry until she learned to focus only on problems she could control, and that truly mattered to her. "It's about choosing your battles," she concluded. This conversation ignited a spark in Sam. That night, he sat with his list and a highlighter. He highlighted only the problems that were both significant and within his control. When he was finished, he was surprised to see that out of hundreds, only a dozen lines were marked. The next morning, Sam felt lighter as he left for work. He focused on the highlighted problems, and solutions started to become clear. As the days passed, he made a conscious effort to pause and think before adding to his list. Most times, he realized the new problem didn't deserve a place on his list. It wasn't worth the energy. Sam's life transformed dramatically. He slept better, smiled more, and his work flourished. For once, he felt in control of his life and peaceful within himself. He reconnected with his friends and started painting again, a hobby he'd neglected for years due to his problems. Life became colorful and vibrant in a way he'd forgotten was possible. He ran into the elderly woman a few months later at the same station. "You seem different," she said, her eyes twinkling. "I am," Sam replied, his voice warm with gratitude. "I learned to choose my battles, thanks to you." He didn't carry his list anymore. He carried lessons of control, focus, and peace. Our culture suggests we shouldn't have problems. Advertisements promise a problem-free life if we buy their product. Social media feeds show endless happy people with seemingly perfect lifestyles. When we have an issue, we feel insecure, and our issues make us feel worse, which increases our insecurity. This untruth fuels the feedback circle from hell. Since only the dead have no problems, we always have problems, they're just replaced by other problems. When you think you solved your house problem by buying a new house, you now have to clean it and maintain the garden to avoid nasty neighbors. Finding someone special solves your loneliness problem, but now you have to come up with fresh date ideas and cook food your partner would like. Buying a gym membership to manage your health condition creates other problems like getting up early to get to the gym, sweating blood for 30 minutes, and getting washed and dressed for work so you don't stink up the office. Since our issues never go away, the key to a good life is to get skilled at fixing them so you can trade them for better ones. Subtly not caring, in two ways, leads to better problems. First, subtly, stop blaming others and take responsibility for your difficulties. If you woke up to a newborn baby on your doorstep, it wasn't your fault, but it would be your responsibility to care for it. You would have to decide whether to keep it, give it away, or drop everything and find its mother. Your choice would cause issues, which you would be liable for. If you don't take responsibility for your problems, you'll spend all your energy complaining about how unfair your condition is and being upset at those who cause them, which doesn't help you solve them and experience better ones. Worrying about who to blame keeps you in the past. Deal with problems that have come up. The instant you stop blaming others and take full responsibility for your problems, you will feel empowered to fix them. Because taking responsibility is saying to yourself, if I'm not in a better place a month from now, it's my fault. My actions from now on are my responsibility. Marvel's Spider-Man's uncle said, with great power comes great responsibility, but greater responsibility brings greater power. William James's life fell apart in 1872. At age 30, James was unemployed. His father was ashamed of him, and he suffered constant back spasms. James considered suicide, but late one night, after reading Charles Peirce's lectures, he decided to try something. He would assume full responsibility for his problems for a year. If his life didn't improve in 12 months, he'd quit and die. But thankfully, the experiment worked, and James would later call that experiment his rebirth. James became the most pertinent psychologist ever. Taking responsibility for his difficulties allowed him to focus on changing his life, which saved millions of lives. Taking responsibility for your problems means taking responsibility for your emotions. After your automobile is stolen, you decide how angry or calm you are. You can choose your response to every issue now. To think more thoughtfully about your worries, ask yourself, how will I feel about this situation in 10 years? Mental time travel helps you think strategically by removing your difficulty from your mind. Stop caring and lean into your troubles after taking full responsibility. Life success depends on how you answer, what pain can I sustain? Gym junkies run triathlons, have sculpted abs, and can bench press a small car. People who like extended work weeks and corporate politics get to the top. People who enjoy the hungry artist lifestyle's pressures and uncertainties live and make it. Knowing what difficult problems to lean into and avoid is the key to simply not caring about how terrible your troubles are. To know which pain you should lean into, you need to know your values. Every psychological and emotional crisis comes from a value violation. Seeing your child struggle to read is difficult because you value their happiness and education. If seeing your neighbor driving a Tesla makes you unhappy because their Tesla is nicer than yours, you prioritize material success and define your worth accordingly. Is it worth 100-hour work weeks for a fancier car? You choose which problems are worth fighting. When you have an issue, ask yourself, what part of myself is causing my pain? That value is worth fighting for. Take it for a test drive and envision living your life for it to the exclusion of others. Would you feel proud of a life focused on material success? Only you can answer that question using your unique values. Everyone should be conscious of terrible, outmoded ideals they are struggling to defend and replace them with more significant ones they are prepared to suffer for. Life is full of hardship, but choosing values worth suffering for will make it worthwhile. In the end, just stop caring if you have problems. Everyone has problems. Embracing and fixing problems to move on to more meaningful ones is the way to a fulfilling existence. Start solving your problems by not blaming others. If a problem affects you, accept responsibility because with power comes responsibility. If and only if your difficulty is caused by something that you value, don't worry about the pain. However, if a problem is caused by old superficial values, it's not worth your time or energy. In life, there's a limited number of things you can focus on, so choose them with care. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe if you found value in this video. And remember to enjoy life despite the problems. Every single one of them has a solution. Some just take longer to figure out,